America is the greatest country in the world. Thank you for being here. Welcome to our tribute, our humble tribute, the best we can do, to talk about the life of Charlie Kirk. We have two guests today who knew him well. Charlie Kirk stood for 5 things. First, get married, have kids, find a meaningful purpose in life, love America, and make Jesus Lord of your life. That last one was the one that they really hated, and they murdered him for it. Charlie Kirk is a Christian martyr. He went to the darkest places in America, college campuses, where they teach the exact opposite of all those things. They teach in college campuses that there is no God. Don't get married. Kids are either a hindrance once they're born or a parasite in the womb. That there's no meaning to life. And that America is not a good country. It's founded on racism and is inherently evil. So Charlie Kirk, went to the belly of the beast and preached the exact opposite of each one of those things that the left has been pushing into our young people for decades. Charlie Kirk was courageous and he was a good man, and they hated him for it. They couldn't prove him wrong. They couldn't prove the fruit of his own life wrong because he was living it. So they killed him. Charlie Kirk is a Christian martyr, killed in a brutal, vicious way in front of his family for the whole world to see. I've never lived through a martyr before. It's amazing to see it happen, to see the effects of, the effects of martyrdom. And we're just in the very beginning of it. There's so much to do here, so many things we can talk about. Our time is limited. Again, our two guests knew him well. But I want to get to the root of how we got here. How do we get to this culture of assassination? Now, of course, presidents are almost like a little different. I'm sure every president's had some degree of assassination attempt. 4 were successful. It would have been 5 if not, but for a millimeter of a head turn with our current president. But this assassination culture has seeped down into not only Charlie Kirk, but church shootings, school shootings, the Charlotte train stabbing of Zarutska. I haven't forgotten about that. So what's the common thread of all this? I believe it is nihilism. What is nihilism? It comes from the Latin, nil, nothing, means nothing. This is Peter Savodnik. He said, Westman, he was speaking of the church shooter in Minneapolis, seems to have been driven by an all-consuming destructive force, a nihilism, the conviction that life is meaningless, that words like truth, justice, and God are empty slogans, that everything must be raised. Nihilism is the belief in nothing, that nothing matters, even nothing exists. There is no such thing as truth, etc. It's all nihilism, and it is coursing through America today, especially young people, and it comes from our college campuses. And this is why so many young people in America today don't have a sense of purpose and don't have a sense of meaning, which is what Charlie wanted people to have more than anything. But this nihilism is so prevalent today, the FBI introduced a new category of criminal called the nihilistic violent extremist. You may have seen this term written out, NVE, the nihilistic violent extremist. So if a Muslim kills for Allah, nihilists kill just because they want to kill. Think sort of like the Joker in Batman. So what's crazy about it is, like, if you've seen the most recent Joker movies, like, they get darker and darker. But the Joker, like the original Joker, was like this funny like clown, like prankster guy. He wasn't like this dark, seething, like horrific monster. The comic writer, Alan Moore, he was the first one to turn Joker into this dark character. It was in 1988. And later he said it was too nasty. He said it was too physically violent. I don't think that the world needs that many brooding, psychopathic Avengers. I don't know that we need any. And he was speaking about current comic writers. He says, and they're stuck, it seems, in this kind of depressive ghetto of grimness and psychosis. I'm not too proud of being the author of that regrettable trend. So the guy who came up with the Joker character, the way, like how dark it is, never intended for him to be like this. It started with Heath Ledger, right? Was he at the first, like, on film, who made it dark? And it just got darker and darker. But it's just death for the sake of death. And that's what our culture is now. Nihilism. And more people are going to fall through the cracks in different ways of varying depths. But the left indoctrinates kids to be nihilistic. Let me say that this is key. The left indoctrinates kids to be nihilistic. We conservatives believe in the good, the beautiful, and the true. The left, to each one of those, has their rebuttal. First, who are you to say? We believe what is good. They say, who are you to say? We believe beauty exists. Oh, no. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. We believe truth exists. And they say, no. My truth. Throw on top of that the belief in evolution. Evolution is the default belief of most people now because of what is taught in schools. Evolution at its beginning denies the creator. And at its end says that we're just randomly here for no reason. Like something came out of nothing, there's a big bang, and then an amoeba turned into a frog, that turned into a monkey, that turned into a human, and you're just kind of like a kind of smart chimpanzee. But it's all here randomly for no reason, and anything you think or feel is just a bunch of chemicals coursing through your brain. It doesn't have any meaning behind it at all. You preach that to kids their entire lives, of course they're going to be nihilists. To show how deep this is, and then I want to provide an alternative. I'll be sure to do that in this segment too. One of the Columbine school shooters, back in 1999, that was the Columbine, 1999. In his diary, he said there's no such thing as an actual real world. That anything and everything that happens in our world is just that, a happening. Anything else is relative to the observer. This is just Progressive 101. He said there's no such thing as true good or true evil. It's all relative to the observer. He said spelling is stupid. He says, I spelled words how they sound. It's the easiest way. We played a clip on my radio show of people, progressives today, arguing that 2 + 2 doesn't always equal 4. It depends on your way of knowing. Okay, that's the depth that they'll take this. There's no such thing as truth. That 2 + 2 doesn't always necessarily equal 4. And here's one of the Columbine shooters saying, like, there's no right way to spell words. It's whatever I want to do. He said people that only know stupid facts should be shot. This is Progressive 101 to its logical and extreme end. This Columbine murderer believe that moral absolutes are an illusion and there's no such thing as truth. Therefore, I can kill whoever I want. He said, my belief is that if I say something, it goes. I am the law. Feel no remorse, no sense, no shame, no sense of shame. What I don't like, I waste. Now, almost every young person today believes that moral absolutes and moral truth don't exist. Now, what they do with that varies. Not all of them, of course, go on to be school shooters, but most have sex with strangers, take drugs, don't take the time to focus on a skill or talent because what's the point? If there's no such thing as truth, then there's no such thing as goodness. So why do I care about anything ever? Why do I care about other people? What's the point of life? That breeds a lot of anxiety, if nothing else. There's plenty of these stories. There's a 16-year-old in Pearl, Mississippi, stabbed his mother to death and shot and killed 2 students at school. This was actually before Columbine. He wrote in his journal, he said, hate humanity, hate everything and everyone, hate until you can't hate anymore, make your own rules, live by your own laws. Live your life in a bold new way, for you, dear friend, are a Superman. Do you see the devil's influence, right? So you got 2 things going on. You got Progressivism 101, which is there is no absolute truth. It's whatever you want. It's your life, your story, your truth. Make your own rules. Live by your own, right? There's that. And then there's the devil influence, which turns that into something even more satanic, which is then therefore go murder. Right? But it's the same question. Like, did God really say you can't eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil? Man, what a mean God telling you what you need to do with your life. No, rebel. There was a school stabber in 2014, Murraysville, Pennsylvania, stabbed 20 students and the security guard, who said evil does not exist. Said there's no such things like universal evils and immorality. He said evil's a man-made creation. This is all progressive stuff. This is all taught by progressives to your children every day in school. K through 12, through college and beyond, and every other impulse that they get in their input that they get in their life, and every other aspect of our culture. That's it. There's no such thing as truth, and everything's just a man-made creation. And if that's true, then I'm just going to create it. I am God. That's Satan. All the way down to gender is a man-made creation. That's why this transgender thing is so illustrative. See how it all fits? They say that everything is a man-made creation, all the way down to gender. Gender doesn't even really exist. There's an infinite number of genders, and you can change your genders. You can switch your genders. That's how far they'll take this. So what's the solution to this? Ordered systems based upon values. That's what we believe in. Ordered systems based upon values, the good, the beautiful, and true. There's a word I love that I'd like to bring back into our common knowledge. The word is rectitude. It's a fun word to say. Say it out loud. Rectitude. Rectitude. Noah Webster, here's how he defined it in 1828 in the original dictionary. He said, rectitude is in morality, rightness of principle or practice, uprightness of mind, exact conformity to truth, or to the rules prescribed for moral conduct, either by divine or human laws. Rectitude of mind is the disposition to act in conformity to any known standard of right, truth, or justice. Who are you to tell me what to do? Rectitude of conduct. Do you see the progressive rebuttal against all this? Rectitude of conduct is the actual conformity to such standard. I do whatever I want to do. You can't tell me what's right, what's good, what's wrong. Who are you to say? Perfect rectitude belongs only to the supreme being. Oh, freedom of religion, you can't tell me there's no God. God's stupid. The more nearly the rectitude of man approaches to the standard of the divine law, the more exalted and dignified is their character. Want of rectitude is not only sinful, but debasing. One of my favorite things, subtle tribute that happened after Charlie was assassinated, was kids in high school, boys in high school wearing suits and ties to school. What a metaphor that is for the goodness and uprightness that Charlie stood for. I don't think Charlie Kirk ever, that was his message, hey, you should wear suits and ties. But that was just a part of goodness that young men were drawn to. And they're oh, I need to be better now. I want to be a better, anyone. I'm a better husband, better man, a better Christian. I'm going to go to church now. I'm going to go back to church. I'm going to wear a suit and tie. What else can I do to be good? What a legacy. The solution to all this is Jesus, of course. The wages of sin is death, but we need life. And Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. This is ancient stuff here. We've abandoned all this and we wonder why we're so lost. We need to help people believe in things that are good, beautiful, and true, and eternal. Fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom as well. Charlie knew the answer. He knew the way to get all this back on track.